All right, what is up? Apparently, we just had the closest ever finish in NASCAR history. Kyle Larson gets the win by maybe an inch or so over Chris Buescher there in the 17 car. They jumped it on TV, and apparently they jumped it on radio as well and gave the win to Chris Buescher. But that is the poll question. Talking about Chris Buescher driving the Ford there. Is Ford cursed? Yes. No. No, I don't believe in superstitions, but yes. Or Hendrick just cheats. Right now, no is at 38%, or it's jumping around. So vote how you want to vote. Early on, it's jumping all over the place. So we will come back to that in just a minute. But that being said, let's see here. Kyle Larson gets the win. He also got the most stage points by finishing second in stage two and third in the first stage. So he comes up with 17 stage points. So he gets the most points overall because sometimes you win the race and somebody else will score the most points. So I like to keep track of that as well. Chris Buescher obviously gets second, although Chris Buescher said he still doesn't know who won that race during his at least TV interview. Chase Elliott comes home third. Didn't really hear much from Chase Elliott all day, but he kept working on the car, making it better and better throughout the day, and he ends up in third place. Martin Truex Jr. in that really, really good looking auto owner's car finishes in fourth place. Man, if there hadn't been that late wreck from Kyle Busch at the end, Martin Truex Jr. walking Denny Hamlin down. Another what if for Martin Truex. Another what if, of course, for Ford. Denny Hamlin had a really good long run car. It looked like at some points he had the race wrapped up. There was a caution fest in sort of the weirdest way possible in the last stage of this race. A lot of people looked like they had the race wrapped up at various points. Christopher Bell ends up finishing. Also, Denny Hamlin ends up in fifth. Sorry about that. Christopher Bell ends up in sixth place. Didn't hear a whole lot from him all day. He just had a nice solid. He was in the top 10 all day. Alex Bowman, I didn't hear much from him all day either. He ends up in seventh, just doing what Alex Bowman does, finishing really great in races. When he finishes races, Kyle needs to work on the attrition for sure. Kyle Busch finishes in eighth place after that spin late. Noah Gragson, almost once again carrying the banner for Ford if it wasn't for Chris Buescher, but he has a great run again in ninth place. That's going to help him out significantly in points, I would imagine. We do have points, so I am going to update that in just a minute as well. Michael McDowell in 10th place. That car was ugly. It was beat up. It had been wrecked, but he ends up with a 10th place there. Good run for him. Way to hang in there and keep persevering. A typical Michael McDowell type of day. He's not going to give up, and I do like drivers like that. Brad Keselowski with an 11th place finish. Good run for him. Ryan Blaney, good run for him. John Hunter Nemechek in 13th. Didn't hear a whole lot from him all day until the very end, and then ironically enough, the cautions helped him. Then the cautions bit him. So up and down day for him as well. 38. The Long John Silver Ford Mustang Dark Horse of Todd Gilliland. Todd G in 14th. He's always improving in Front Row Motorsports. We don't talk about them a lot, but they're always improving too. So I want to give them a shout out today too. And 15th place for Josh Berry. So another good day for Stewart-Haas Racing. They continue even in Ford's bad luck year or whatever you want to call it. Just crazy that they haven't won a race yet in any series, and nobody knows why other than it's either bad luck or maybe poor design or whatever the theory is. But still crazy that it's happened. But he ends up 15th. So Stewart-Haas in a down year for Ford, at least statistically, having an up year. And then the rest of your finishers are Ricky Stenhouse Jr. 16th, Bubba Wallace 17th, Justin Haley 18th, Ross Chastain 19th, Tyler Reddick, big favorite early on. By a lot of people, he ends up in 20th place. I never really heard much from him all day. Chase Briscoe 21st, Corey Heim 22nd in his fill-in race once again for Eric Jones, brings it home 22nd. William Byron 23rd, another favorite. I didn't hear much from him today. Carson Hocevar 24th, Austin Dillon 25th, Corey LaJoy 26th, who was also in a wreck, but manages 26th. I don't know if that's an accomplishment, though, now that I think about it. Daniel Suarez, 27th. Ryan Preece, 28th. Zane Smith, 29th. Daniel Hemrick, 30th. Garrett Krause, Ty Gibbs, Austin Hill, Joey Logano, Riley Herbst, Harrison Burton, Austin Cindric, and Jimmy Johnson ends up being your last car on Earth 2, or on Brock Beard's last car. Jimmy Johnson, your winner on Earth 2. Jimmy Johnson has now won a race on Earth 1 and Earth 2. Is he the first man to have done that since we started the channel? I don't know, but we're going to go with it. We make up the rules as we go here, so that's what we're going to go with. Kyle Larson continues to lead the points. He has stretched it out from 15 to 29, I want to say. Chase Elliott is in third place. Denny Hamlin, Tyler Reddick, Ryan Blaney, William Byron, Ty Gibbs, Alex Bowman, Ross Chastain, Chris Buescher, Kyle Busch are your 12 there. Then 13 through 16 is going to be Seabell, Chase Briscoe, Brad Keselowski, Bubba Wallace in 15th, and Daniel Suarez is still out, but Christopher Bell puts himself back in. So only one person would get bumped right now. So right now on the cutoff line, Bubba Wallace would get bumped out by Daniel Suarez, who has the win, while Bubba Wallace does not have a win yet this far in the season. So he is out. Joey Logano is the next one out after Bubba Wallace. Then you've got Noah Gragson, who has bumped his way up to 19th in points despite the early season penalty. And this good finish today and some stage points help him climb up here. And then your 20th place guy is Austin Cindric. So there you go. There is your points breakdown. We'll jump into what you guys want to talk about over here in the chat. Let's see. Shah saying Hendrick is cheating because they somehow make their splitter stick out further than the rest of them. He's joking, by the way. Only halfway, though. Apparently, this is the closest finish in NASCAR history, says Image Twin Lane. So, yeah, there you go. That's what I'd heard, too. Haven't officially seen that as a source yet, but it seems like it. I don't think I've ever seen one any closer. Hell of a race, says Escobar. This is a 1.5 mile racing, not Atlanta, says Escobar. So, yeah, this was a real 1.5 mile track, whereas Atlanta races more like a super speedway. I would agree with you there. Kansas is one of the, Charlotte says Kansas is one of the best tracks for this car, I would say, in NASCAR in general. But I know most don't like the cookie cutters, even though number two are really, no two are really that similar. I got you. So no two of the cookie cutter tracks are actually the exact same. You're right about that. But they do get grouped into the same group of the 1.5s. That's the one thing I'll say about this car. This car races 1.5s better than any car we've probably ever had. If it could just figure out the short track package, I think it would be okay. Super speedways, it's about par for course with anything NASCAR has ever raced on a super speedway. I love the 1.5s, but I like the meat and potatoes most days too, says Shah. I'm in favor of Kansas being a finale. I saw Iceberg through that postulation or theory out there. So, yeah, a lot of people are getting on board with that. Dude, can I actually get an Actions hypocritical shirt still? You can. We do still have Actions hypocritical shirts, a few. I'm pretty sure, but if need be, we can run another batch of them. But they are still available. 2 super speedways, 3 shorties, 2 road courses, and the rest would be 1.5. Would be fine by me, says Shah. This season is shaping up to be one I'll remember for the rest of my life, and it's still early. Yeah, so they've had some really good finishes this season. There's no doubt about that. I think this would almost be the perfect season if they could just figure out how to race at short tracks. Kansas would be a better final round than Phoenix for the same reasons. Homestead is also a better choice, says Charlotte. And Kansas, the one thing I will say about Kansas, everybody that I've talked to that goes to Kansas say Kansas is set up almost as nice or nicer than Phoenix. So the one thing I always tell Phoenix is the fan experience at Phoenix is amazing. I have heard several of you come out and tell me that you need to go to Kansas, the fan experience out there. And Eric Estep actually tweeted out something about that. He was enjoying the fan experience at Kansas as well. So there you go. He's vouching for all you guys. Kansas is on my list of places I need to go, but it won't happen this year, obviously, because they just had the race. Yo, BB, go Larson, says Mike Concha. Yeah, Larson gets it done again. His second win on the season, putting him just behind Denny Hamlin and William Byron for most wins on the season. They're tied at 3. He has 2. Cy Truex and KFB Spin. Now I'm all in my feelings, more sad beers, says Shah. So yeah, if you follow us on the Discord, we talk about who's having happy beers and who's having sad beers. That might be my new who had a good race, bad race deal. Who's having the sad beers and who's having the happy beers. Drink responsibly. That had to be the best race of the last 3 years, says Zach Bishop. I mean, it's the closest race in NASCAR history, so it's got to be up there for one of the greatest races, I would say, ever in NASCAR. I was watching the pre-race show, and they were comparing Denny Hamlin and Kyle Larson, and ever since Larson landed at Hendrick Motorsports, he ranks first in all categories, and Denny Hamlin is second. Yeah, that's for sure. I want to say this is either like his. It depends on whether or not you count the All-Star race, but this I think is his 19th or 20th win since he's come to Hendrick. So I want to say that, and I think 10 of them came in 1 year. So after his first year, he's now matched his first year in wins. I guess I should say but 20 wins in that short amount of time is pretty impressive. So they're getting it done over there on the 5 team for sure. Smash that like button, says Charlotte. Yeah, would appreciate it if you want to hit the thumbs up button. It would help out the channel, but don't feel pressured to do it. Any Denny Hamlin loss is a win for America, says Dutch McCracken. I like that handle there, Dutch. Let's see. All Caution Fest is the product of these gimmick stage breaks. Yeah. So there were no cautions until that last stage sort of grouped them up, and then I guess what triggered that off was that sort of triggered by. Was Jimmy Johnson the first one in that one? He finished last, so I want to say Jimmy Johnson was probably the first in that series of 3 or 4 cautions in a row. So I'll say that started it, and that just those cautions just jumbled up the race so much. That's what I was saying. Some people look like they were in good position, then another caution would come out, and everything just got flipped on its head several times. Mark Barnum, a very good point. Says Mark Barnum, I live in Iowa. November is not as cold as people remember it being, says Charlotte. The 10 is going to keep hanging around until he wins one, says Chris Cox. Yeah, like Noah Gregson did a great job today. Was the second fastest Ford for sure after Chris Buescher. The 17 figured out something about, I would say, maybe 1/3 of the way through this race. And then after that, they were on it. Everybody, me too, Charlotte, says Mark, everybody hit the like button, please. Young Money's closest finish ever. At least it wasn't Denny the Dork Hamster, says William Wagaman. Shorts and t-shirts until mid-December at the earliest, says Charlotte. Hey, that's my kind of weather. I live 200 miles from the Kansas track, says Mark Bonner. Hey, there you go, man. That's not too terrible of a drive at all. 5 wide at one point, says in between the lanes. Yeah, they were getting after it. Like, that's the good thing about Kansas. It's one of the better mile and a halves with the progressive banking. They can go 5 wide in certain situations. Rough day to be a Magic and a Byron fan, says I say Kyle. Yeah, William Byron never got the balance on the car right. The track got away from him. Unfortunate, and I don't even want to talk about the Magic. We gave that game away, in my opinion. They shot everybody except Banchero shot like crap. Slick Rick made the whole race without incident. So that thing, that is a thing. LOL, says Shy. Slick Rick was up in the top 10 at one point too. Talking about Ricky Stenhouse, by the way. Number 5, built to survive, says Dutch McCracken, for sure. I will concede it's not South Florida or Arizona weather, says Charlotte. I took your advice from last week and bet on the 5 car, won 1250. LOL, says Bumstead. I appreciate it, my friend. I appreciate it. Honestly, I believe cars are not equal as much anymore as it's a Gibbs and Hendrick show again. They look. They've got more money than anybody else. They figured it out faster. And it's not a surprise, right? The cream, no matter what you do, no matter what you do in life, the cream is always going to rise to the top. And in racing, it costs a lot of money to figure things out. And they've got the money. So it's not a huge secret. 10 out of 10 race, says Bumblebee. Not aero blocking hurts real racing, says Dutch McCracken. I think they could figure out something to help on that aero blocking as well, too. Like, if they can get it to funnel in a wider space instead of directly out of the back of the car, I think that'll help significantly. Do have a poll question up. Is Ford cursed? Yes, no. No, I don't believe in superstitions, but yes. Or Hendrick just cheats. 7% saying Hendrick just cheats. I don't believe in superstitions, but yes is at 11%, 12% now, and 41% tie right now between yes and no. Just flipped to no, 43%. So Ford is not cursed right now, 43% leading the way there. Let's see. Lando Norris won the Miami GP. So, yeah, Lando Norris gets his first win. So, first win for Lando Norris, I want to say, and the closest NASCAR race in history. And Max Verstappen didn't win, which is a thing, like a big thing a lot of people care about. So, there you go. A crazy good day in auto racing for most people, unless you're a Red Bull fan or a Max Verstappen fan. Or maybe a Denny Hamlin fan. I don't know. Because I feel like or a Martin Truex Jr. fan, because a lot of those guys probably felt like they probably had the thing sewed up at certain points as well. Super Bowl has Tostitos. What does NASCAR and Daytona 500 have? We don't have. We don't see any more snack and beverage sponsorships at major races. We've got Coca-Cola and Pepsi, maybe. That would be my guess. I never thought that NASCAR would have a closer finish than the Kentucky Derby. Yeah, and the Kentucky Derby was pretty close too, even though I didn't see it. I just saw the photo finish. Awesome race. Only bad part was the crazy caution fest. Yeah, that little group of cautions right there really shook things up. But you can look at it the other way and be like, if it wasn't for those cautions, the things wouldn't have been shaken up. So it goes both ways, I guess. Corey LaJoy dumped Johnson. Yeah, from what I could see, Chrome Diesel, they tried to say Johnson lifted or something like that. But yeah, it looked like Corey ran into the back of him. Without SMT data, we don't know. But from my point of view, it definitely looked like he dumped him. The 3 won the Kentucky Derby, and Jimmy Johnson definitely thinks he got dumped. So according to Jimmy Johnson, for sure he got dumped. According to Jimmy, I should say. The 3 won the Kentucky Derby. The 4 won F1, and the 5 won Kansas. That's pretty wild numerology there, Cody Ledger. I didn't even think about that. That's pretty crazy. Appreciate you there, my man. Let's see. Dutch saying if a Ford got a win, I'd like it to be Noah, says Dutch. I just want Ford to get a win, period. and I'm not like playing favorites or anything like that. It's just more interesting when the manufacturers are more closely grouped together for the championship battle. Because I still watch the championship battle myself, so I always do keep track of things like that. KFB rallied to eighth after the spin for sure, for sure. I do like the auto owners insurance scheme for Mayetta, New Jersey's own Martin Trix Jr. Yeah, I like that blue scheme too. Although he is getting flamed by the social medias, because that's what matters in life is the social medias for his Darlington throwback. I don't think Nemechek brought out any cautions today. He must have tagged Jimmy in for this week, says Bo Darvel. Yeah, he had a clean car. He actually avoided a caution, so good for him. He brought the car home clean. And that is always a good day. And look, when he brings the car home clean, he actually gets a solid finish. The last 70 laps of that race is the best I've ever watched on TV. I was there for the Darlington Kurt Busch crate. Oh, that's pretty awesome, Jamie. That was the best. This proves Kansas needs 3 races. Amazing. So there you go. Kansas needs 3 races, not 2. They need 3 overall. So yeah, I think a lot of people are feeling like that now. A lot of people want that as the finale race from here on out. Dutch saying, yeah, Orlando was his first win. The way Ford has lost these races in all top 3 series is unbelievable. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's why the poll question is Ford cursed? I feel like it's a legitimate poll question because they found every way possible to sort of like lose a race. Pretty crazy. The 17 and the 11 side by side hard racing was awesome. Then the fuel race and the 19 and the 6 was running them down. Yeah, I think it was going to be a good race no matter what. Like it was just either way this thing played out, it was going to be really good. Then the end was amazing. We do some more late afternoon starts and end at night. Awesomeness is nighttime races are always better too. Whenever you get a finish under the lights, it just looks cooler for TV. Let's see. Can't wait for Worldwide Technology Speedway and see if Ford can get a win there, says John Forrester. Yeah, that might be where they break in and get that win. Just ordered a Melonhead shirt. Didn't see any Crocs. Yeah, I don't have a Crocs license, so I can't sell those on there. I think you can get custom made Crocs though. So let me look into that. The kid in the 43, nice top 10 today. And they're going to hate me. They're going to hate me with the people that make my merch. And he also won the truck race, says William Wagaman. In between the lanes, Martin Truex Jr. was catching up to Denny Hamlin and Chris Buescher towards the end, says in between the lanes. Yeah, I think anything was going to be, any way that this race ended was going to be a crazy good finish, I think. Franz Wagner was 1 for 15 shooting, yeah, and Suggs was not much better. I think he was 2 for 13. So yeah, either one of those guys shoots at least 30%. The Magic are in that game at the very end, and I know you don't come here for basketball analysis, but I'm bummed out that the Magic lost. Very, very sad, very salty. But at least Joel Embiid is out of the playoffs. I don't like him very much. He just seems like a dickish human. Man, that finish was amazing, says Young Money. Corey Haim looked good out there, says Bradley Wilder. Haim doing good for his fill-in duty. At one point, he was in the top 10, I want to say. F1 race was actually good. Verstappen didn't win due to a safety car, but it's a miracle Norris finally winning. Yep. I'm not even going to say a miracle because it was strategy. Norris and the McLaren team had the better strategy, and the caution fell their way. I wonder if Larson will buy Kyle Busch a steak dinner, says William Wack. Yeah, he definitely needs to talk to him after the race and be like, do we need to go to Cheddar's and I'll get you some food at Cheddar's or whatever they want to do. The Texas Terry throwback is sick looking, says Dutch. Yeah, that's a really good looking car. And what's going to be even cooler about it is Kevin Harvick's going to practice it. Kyle Larson's going to race it. So there's you could get all kinds of autographs on that thing because they're selling one already that's got Terry Labonte's autograph and Kyle Larson's autograph. Then you could just go find Kevin Harvick and get him to autograph it as well. So then you would have all 3 drivers that are sort of associated with that car for that weekend. Penske probably has more money, says Rick Lang. Well, yeah, and you can't sleep on Penske. Look, Penske will get back up there too. Ryan Blaney's been the best Ford statistically all season. So yeah, you can't count Penske out either. They'll figure out the dark horse Mustang before it's all said and done. I think Kansas, not that they necessarily even need to, right? As we saw today, they've just that's why I put the question: are they cursed? Right now, 45% are saying yes, so it's skewing back to 45% yes. Thank you, Bradley. I could not remember his name. I think Kansas can be a good final, despite the points format that you have, says Chrome. The only good driver Spire has is Carson Hocevar. So yeah, don't forget to keep voting Carson Hocevar, old host Cephas. Don't forget to vote for him at least 4 times, and then vote for your favorite driver 1 time because you can vote 4 times or 5 times a day. No Croc license, says Dutch McCracken. I'll tell you what, though, Ross Chastain had those Crocs in sport mode early on in the race. He ended up not getting the finish he wanted. But early on in the race, the Crocs were in full sport mode. I cannot wait for the second half of the season. And Ford starts stomping butts regular, says Shaw. It might happen. Me either, says Dutch. Kansas should be the finale for sure. Can tracks like Texas look at Kansas and reconfigure? It's clear that Kansas, Charlotte, and Atlanta are perfect tracks for this car. Bring on Chicago, bring Chicagoland back. Yeah, this would be the perfect time to bring Chicagoland back. I know they're all in with the Chicago Street Course, and it's a cool concept and all that good stuff. But man, this car, the way it races, I'm telling you, man, Chicagoland would be pretty fire. Kansas finale is doable with a few double headers during the season, pushing the finale to October, says Napa Racing Fan. Pink and green watermelon Crocs, says Baron Von Weaves. Hey, there you go. There you go. That needs to be the Ross side deal, but he's got the Bush lattes. That's his Crocs. He was actually wearing them today pre-race as well. Sling missed recording the delayed race. Ford sucks still. LOL, says E Damon. I don't know, man. After you watch the ending of this race, I don't know if you can say Ford sucks. They had a really fast hot rod in that 17. The richest team owner in NASCAR is Haas, says Escobar. I think it's actually Penske, but I'd never made that episode, so I can't say I made an episode about it. I did research for an episode and never made it. Larson technically got sweet revenge from Hamlin with last year's spring Kansas race, thanks to Busch spinning out, bringing the yellow, says Napa Racing Fan. Kyle Busch's actions on the track were detrimental to Hamlin winning, says Napa Racing Fan. So there you go. Ford has one win in 2024, period. Not in NASCAR, not in V8 supercars, not in GTD or GT3 or IMSA. Only win is VP Sports Car Challenge in the GSX class. That's insane. That is an insane statistic, Cody Ledger. Just got here. Where is your 11 shirt, BB, says one. Well, I do have an 11 shirt. The problem is it shrunk in the washing machine because I definitely didn't get any bigger. So that it has shrunk. I do have my Hamlin hat back here for sure. Let's see. Thanks for the outlet, brother. I love what you do. No problem, Dutch. Glad to be here. Glad y'all are here. Y'all make it. The comments are what make it. In between the lanes, when do you think Martin Truex Jr. or Rowdy Busch get their first win of the season? That's a good question. I feel like Kyle Busch is creeping up on one, right? He had some weird pit strategy, like some weird pit stuff happen early on in the season. And he didn't look like he had speed at short tracks, which is not surprising. RCR has unfortunately struggled at short tracks, but he has always, even if you look at last year, he was really good at mile and a halfs, and now all of a sudden he's getting good again at mile and a halfs because mile and a halfs are back on the this part of the schedule. So just pick a mile and a half. Kyle Busch has won at just about every track, I want to say. So just pick a mile and a half. I would say that would probably be his best bet. Has any work started yet? They've started work on California Speedway. Like dislike, they just haven't done anything since they started. So that's sort of in limbo. Problem with Texas and Atlanta being the finale is these are SMI tracks. NASCAR and our ISC possess the final date. Kansas and Homestead are the best fitting tracks you could get for that, says Chrome Diesel, which is a good point. That is a good point. The other thing I wanted to mention before we forget here, Mike Joy basically let the cat out of the bag on live TV that we're probably going to be racing at Bowman Gray. That'll probably be either the Busch Clash or the All-Star race. So that's probably going to happen. We're racing at Bowman Gray. It's probably the worst kept secret in NASCAR, but we're racing at Bowman Gray probably for the Busch Clash. So close to a 4 wide finish. Elliott and Truex nearly made it 4 wide. Elliott, 5th top 5 in the last 6 races, other than the finish 15th at Dega, says Napa Racing Fan. Buc-ee's purchasing 57 acres of land next to Kansas could be big. Can Buc-ee's be involved with NASCAR, please? That would be pretty cool. Here at Craigmore Racing, we call it Boussays. We're going to old Boussays to get us some brisket. That's I don't know. You work so many hours that corny stuff like that becomes funny at the racetrack, and so we've carried it on. So it's Boussays. If you ever hear me say Boussays, we're talking about Buc-ee's. Did it seem like Larry Mack was implying that KFB spun on purpose? I don't know. I doubt that. Like I think Kyle Busch was just going for it, and the tires were fading. And it got out from under him. Be right back. Got to watch the highlights now for this finish. You got to see the finish, E. Damon. I took a nap during the rain delay and Sling stopped recording. Max Verstappen will be driving Ford in 2026. That's a guaranteed 15 wins per season, says Bradley Wilder. I would hope so because I feel like a lot of Ford's money is going over there to F1 for sure. Somebody brought up a good point in the comments of the last video that said every other um, manufacturer when they first came to F1 shut down all of their other racing operations, including Mercedes, Ferrari, or their factory-based operations and things like that. So that was a very good point that somebody brought up in the comments. I can't remember who it is off the top of my head. Would love to give them credit. They made a great point, so I did want to point that out too. To further my point that Ford's racing budget for other stuff might not be as big as it normally is, but it's Ford. Ford has more money than any of the auto manufacturers. I would say maybe Volkswagen is close, but I would say it's probably not as healthy as it once was because they're trying to get this F1 deal going. Do you think they will ever bring Kentucky back to the schedule? I hope so, because Kentucky would be another good track since these cars seem to be best on mile and a half tracks. Yeah, I would love to see Kentucky back on the schedule anyway. I just wish they never took it away. I like the Kentucky track, says Bradley Wilder. Clash would be awesome there, says Sonny V. Hey, Burger, NASCAR finally got the race they've been looking for, says Tim Shoemaker. For sure. For sure. That is exactly what NASCAR wanted. And De Pasquale won that points round as well, says Dutch McCracken. I did the best I could on that pronunciation. I'm working with a thick accent, and Spanish is not my friend. Let's see. NASCAR Busey's Series, LOL, says Chrome Diesel. I think the Kansas City Chiefs might be building a new stadium across from the track. Yeah, so if Bucky's can get in between the track and the super speedway, they would have prime real estate. Let's see. William Wagman, what's up, my friend? I think one of them needs to get one of those Bucky's brisket sandwiches. They are good. The Bucky's brisket is definitely really good. Thumbs up, saying Dutch. Larson stuck it in there this time. Yeah, so let's talk about the end of that race. First off, for Larson to even get there, he went and stuck it on the outside. And even Chris Buescher said, I gave him a half a groove, and apparently giving him a half a groove was too much. So let's not discount what Kyle Larson did. He basically got as close as you possibly can to the wall to fill in that gap. It was that was a sick move. Like, all I know, I'm a Larson fan. All Larson fan stuff aside, for him to stick that thing in there, good grief. Like, what a freaking, oh my God. I can't believe he stuck it in there. And kudos to Chris Buescher for racing him clean. Chris Buescher gave him that room and raced him clean there to the end. And then they did touch right there, right before the start finish line. But man, what a crazy, crazy finish at the end of this thing. And just shout out to both of them. Let's see here. Wow, great finish. Just watch the highlight. Hitting pause. It looked like the 17 won until you see the freeze frame, though. So there you go. There you go. And if here's what you need to do if you're a Ford fan. Now that all this AI technology is out there, you need to go back and just start the rumor that NASCAR used AI to give the win to Hendrick, and that's why Kyle Larson won. I'm joking, but somebody is going to throw that out there. Don't think that they won't. Because it looked like Buescher won in real life until we saw the freeze frame photo. So don't think somebody's not going to throw that out there. Once again, I'm stirring it up. I'm stirring it up for you. It was dope, says Chris MV. The actual racing in F1 is nowhere near as good as NASCAR or IndyCar, but it's definitely the trending racing series. Yeah, F1's just the pinnacle. It's basically how you it's how you build the car. Larson has big gonads, says Shah. Nobody else would even think about making that move Larson made, says Bumblebee. Maybe KFB. I think a lot of people would think about making it. I think Chase Briscoe would think about making it. He just wouldn't, pull it off because he gets overexcited. There's a lot of people that would try it. Ross Chastain, I feel like, would stick it in there. Like, there's guys that would stick it in there. Ross might be able to pull it off. Chase Briscoe might be able to pull it off, but it's like 50-50 with Chase Briscoe. Chase Briscoe is either going to look like a genius or he's going to look like he's never driven a race car before with some of the moves he makes. So it's but there's a lot of guys I think that would try it, but Larson sticking it in there, Larson doing it and consistently doing it and it's sticking. That's just it's crazy how much car control that dude has. It's impressive. And like I said, man, shout out to Chris Buescher for racing it clean. He raced almost a perfect race. I don't think he put a wheel wrong all day today. His pit crew got him in a tight spot at one point, but man, crazy. Larson Splitter won the race. Let me skip the ads here. They are good news. They're giving me the option to win, so that's a positive. They had taken that power away from me. Don't make me put my tinfoil hat on. Says like dislike talking about the AI generated photo finish. Larson has a weight advantage. He weighs 50 pounds, and 30 of that is his nuts. Says Shaw. There you go. That should be a T-shirt right there. It's 100% look like Buescher won. So it was pure Busher one until that freeze frame photo says Bradley Wilder. There you go. There you go. Start the AI conversation. Did NASCAR use AI to give Kyle Larson the win? LOL. F1 equals Max Verstappen driving like everyone everyone off the track for position and to win every week. Cool. Look at the cars because they're so fast. Snore with one guy winning every race. But for like as long as I've been alive, that's pretty much been F1 though for me in my lifetime. Like for a long time, it was Ferrari, then it was Mercedes, and now it's Red Bull. So I mean, that's in my lifetime. That's pretty much how it's been. High, wide, and handsome. Young Money, Kyle Larson, Peace Brother says William Wagaman. Good to see you on here, William. Larson is a technician, man. The stuff he does is crazy. Yeah, his car control is insane. I don't think I've seen anyone better with the car control. I've seen some guys that can probably like maybe equal it, like Tim Richmond and Dale Earnhardt Sr. Those guys have had really great car control, but I don't think I've seen anybody any better. They said as far as car control goes, they said at first it was a 0.0, so tie, but I still think Busher won or a tie, says Dirtburger. Bring back Chicagoland now, says Iceberg. Hey, there you go. I'm on board with you, man. Bring back. We're trying to get Chicagoland and Kentucky back, my friend. And we're also trying to generate a rumor that Chris Buescher actually won the race, and the photo at the end, the photo finish, was AI generated so that Hendrick could win another race. So that's what we're starting. We're starting some nonsense over here. You started something with your Saudi Arabia feed. I just want you to know that as well. The photo clearly shows Larson won, says Bumblebee, but the photo is clearly AI generated. B. We know that. We know that. NASCAR just likes Hendricks. Let's see. So my boy Logano should just hang it up for the season, given that I'm looking for suggestions as to who to root for this year. Just root for his teammate. Root for his teammate, Ryan Blaney, or Austin Cindric, who got caught up in somebody else's nonsense today. Let's see. The finish line was painted crooked. Just go look at the photo. So there's an actual underneath the that finish line. There is a metal strip where the scoring and timing goes. So no matter how they paint it, they're going off the metal strip for the scoring and timing. So that's how they got it. But yeah. But still, we got to keep the rumor that it's an AI generated photo, and that's why Kyle Larson won. They definitely used AI to paint the start finish line. More curves than Coda. Larson did when he was, regardless of the lack of using a straight edge, says Cody Ledger. That finish was the bomb, says Tan Dog. Tim Shoemaker, that's for sure, says Shaw. Bait used to be believable, says Bumblebee. Jimmy Johnson actually won, but NASCAR has AI generated everyone in front of him. That's for sure. On Earth 2 or Last Car, though, Jimmy Johnson is your winner. No way could ever root for the Cindric idiot. Oh man, so you're not a Cindric fan. Even with his new giant glasses, I still can't see his way past 20th place. Did you see that Jimmy Johnson was wearing glasses today too? So Jimmy Johnson, he's wearing glasses too. I think Kevin Harvick spoke to him. Harvick's probably trying to get him back up to speed there. Shaw's laughing. Norm Bennon actually won by 9 laps over those two. Yeah, if you were actually at the racetrack, you knew that. According to B, not trying to be an aero engineer, but how do you think they can take drag away from the next gen car? Take drag away. Well, you can make it. The easiest way to take drag away is to make the car smaller, because then you have less volume going through the air. That's the easiest way, just to make it smaller. So I don't want to get into it other than that, because it gets really nerdy, technical, and boring. And there are definitely more people that know more about aerodynamics than me. I am but a humble short track racer with 3 aerodynamics books right behind me. I always pick the wrong hand. I always pick the wrong hand to point backwards with. C in between the lane, finishing line. Words are hard. C between the finish line being crooked and the AI image of the NASCAR finish, definitely playing favoritism toward Hendrick. Says like this, like I watched both. Says Zach Bishop. I don't think Kyle Busch was wearing his glasses. Not laughing. Cannot turn these damned emojis off. Says Shaw. Someone needs to Photoshop a Busher win. Oh, it's coming. It's coming. Somebody will Photoshop a Busher win. There's no doubt about that. Front valence needs to be a little higher on these cars. That could happen for that. That's something they can work on for sure. William Wagaman throwing up emoji fest over there. I see a championship goat, nail biter, piece, and I don't know. Let's see. Penske 222 and the almost Penske 21 brought three cautions in a row. Not saying it was their fault, but they were involved in three straight cautions. Hey, there you go, three straight cautions. Is there something to it? So there you go. The plot thickens. Penske engineered some cautions. NASCAR used an AI generated photo for the photo finish. There you go. We're going off the rails, and that's what we're here for. We'll be on the Y Files next week, investigating these theories as to how this race actually ended. Larson lied like Pinocchio and made his nose longer. Just kidding. He cannot make the man. I love him. Go Larson, go, says Dennis Gillespie. Please lobby to get my home track, Chicagoland Speedway, back. The racing would be just as good as Kansas, if not better. I agree, man. Like I want Chicagoland back, and I'm telling you, man, we need to get Kentucky back too. There's a ton of fans in Kentucky. They talk about wanting that track back all the time, just almost as much as the Chicago fans. So hopefully we get both of those back at some point. The 17-1 says Joe Sample. Since when did Ford let AI create a car that can't win? Says Cody Ledger. Anyone but Hamlin, says Rich. The start finish line was digitally moved in real time, much like the first down marker in football. Trex 1. Says E. Damon. Hey, there you go. There you go. More AI is into the equation on the Hendrick win here. God, I hate autocorrect. I love Larson, says Dennis Gillespie. Going off the rails like a crazy train. Says in between the lanes, throwing a little Aussie in here. Pass on the outside, says Duke Chronic. Yeah, it was insane. It was insane. Let's see. I want the Rock back. I think the Rock is probably on a short list of tracks that might make it back too. The rain wasn't real. William Byron had a tummy ache, so they postponed it. Says Bradley Wilder. I don't think his tummy ache got any better though, because he just didn't get it going today. The stage and finish was phenomenal. The rest of the race was 7.5 out of 10, says Monty D. I do not know how, but Larson cheated. LOL extended nose, says Shaw. I believe Chicagoland may be back as soon as next year. Chicago doesn't want the street race. They can opt out for next year. Yeah, so hopefully, the street race was cool. You get a couple years of it, and then we go back to Chicagoland. Chicagoland looks like it's ready to go as soon as they get all the Nissans or whatever they're keeping over there in it, or was it Fords, whatever they're keeping over there. I just want to know how the 14 qualify. I think it's Fords. I think Tennessee. I think the Nissans were in Tennessee and the Ford F-150s that were keeping over there at Chicagoland. I just want to know how the 14 qualified fast enough to fool me into using him in fantasy, then immediately ran 30th after the green flag dropped. I don't know, my man. I don't know. Chase Briscoe giveth and Chase Briscoe taketh away. That's what I'm saying. He either looks like he's the greatest race car driver of all time, or he just looks like he's lost out there. He's the damnedest driver I've ever watched. Like, there's no consistency in the man. Penske went from engineering new IndyCar rules to engineering cautions. LOL, the Penske dam of relevancy. There you go. There you go. I don't want to say it. I don't want to say it. How about Gregson? Another 10, top 10. He just needs to be in a Chevy, says Drummond. Or is it legitimacy? I don't know. Says Cody Ledger. I know what you meant. I'm not a great speller myself. Dutch McCracken's laughing at Bradley Wilder. The whole race was AI. How do I know? I saw Larson at lunch today in California. There you go. We've got a witness that's saying Larson wasn't even at the track. He was having lunch with him. Yeah, go Gregson, baby, says Shah. You see how I twisted that and made it an even bigger story immediately? That's real journalism right there. E. Damon was having lunch with Larson. That's how mainstream media works. Let's see. Yeah, go Gregson, go baby. Jimmy was driving like an old man today, says Tim Shoemaker. Motocross is at Chicagoland. NHRA return. Only a matter of time before NASCAR, says Napa Racing fans. So there you go. Despite the wheel nut problems for Larson early today, he still overcame it by winning, says Chrome. Yeah, for sure. There's a lot of guys that kept their head in the race today and never gave up. So shout out to a lot of them. I talked about him at the beginning of the show when I did the top 10. I hadn't seen a pass on the outside that exciting since Cole Trickle back in the day, says Ken, for sure. Michael McDowell being one of them that kept his head in the game all day. Just want to give another shout out to him because his car was wrecked basically, and he still got, I want to say, a top 10 in there. So way to keep his head in the game. I hadn't seen a pass on the outside that exciting since Cole Trickle. That's pretty good, Ken. Is this Logano's worst year at Penske, worst Cup year overall? Surprisingly, I want to say probably his worst year at Penske for sure. I'd have to look back at the Joe Gibbs years because I feel like people overestimate how bad his early Joe Gibbs years were. I don't think the early Joe Gibbs years were as bad as people made them out to be. Is Jimmy Johnson and just junk hardware? Is he just lost it? Kevin Harvick says that this new car is just so hard to drive that what Jimmy Johnson's doing is damn near impossible. What happened to the 54? I don't know. He dropped like a rock right there. He had a good run going, but then I don't know. I don't know if they missed it right there with the last pit stop on the adjustments or what. Excuse the typos. I'm trying to use voice dictation, says he. It's all good, my man. It's all good, my man. Kyle Larson already won the Indy 500. Says Dennis Gillespie. Hey, there you go. Let's get that. Let's get the AI pumping right now. On that last pit stop, Martin Truex Jr. was the only driver that took tires, while the rest of the field took 2 tires. Yeah, so Martin did take 4 tires. So that was interesting too. I thought that was going to be a little more interesting than it came out to be. Jimmy is like your 87-year-old grandparent that retired to Florida, and you now have to try to convince them to stop driving because they've been involved in 35 wrecks in the last year. Poor Gramps. Which one of them is driving the bright line? Because I feel like the bright line hits somebody every other day, say Kyle. Yeah. Joey finished 17th in 2017, and I missed the chase. I watch Fox 35. Thank you, say Kyle. I'm up to date on my Florida news. Let's see. Fox 35 is Fox Orlando, for those wondering what that was about. Let's see. Joey finished 17th in 2017 and missed the chase, says Bradley Wilder. 54, and the one fell off a cliff. And technically, right now, he's right out of the points as it stands now. So he's 18th or 17th in points as it stands now. So he's equaling his worst year in the series. 54 and 1 fell off a cliff, the second to last restart. Says Robert Stone. Yeah. Ross Chastain dropped back there with him as well. Off to work, gents and gals. Have fun, and remember, only you can prevent Hamlin fandom. Let's go number 5. Says Dutch McCracken. JJ may only race a few times a year and suck, but how does that explain replacement drivers coming in and doing well? Because reasons. I don't know. AI is out of control. This entire chat is simulation. That's right. I'm not even sitting here. I'm in my room eating a personal pan pizza, which is a large, but it's personal because I believe in myself. Jimmy Johnson wasn't very good in his last few years in the old car or in Indy. E. Damon racing, which feels like it. Says Rudd Grand Prix. Who will win the most races, says Chris MV. Right now, I would have to say either Denny Hamlin or William Byron. Flip a coin. I guess statistically, you would have to say probably Denny Hamlin, but William Byron has come into his own. So flip a coin. Kyle Larson's right there with 2 wins as well. So I don't know. Breaking news, Kyle Larson wins the 20, as I say, Kyle. Boston Celtics versus Kyle Larson in the NBA Finals. My money is on Larson, and the Celtics have a stacked team. Are we gonna go full on Saturday Night Live Chicago super fans? Larson in 5, mini Larson in 7. Is there a mini Larson? There is a mini Larson. He's back. Why do I always go the wrong way? He's back. Oh, move the thing. Mini Larson's right there over my shoulder. So yes, mini Larson exists, and he is right over my shoulder, helping me make bad decisions. Is the electronic transponder located in the back of the car? I think it's located right at the front door. I can't remember which side that it's located on, but that's just a guess. It's been a long time since I looked at that, probably since they introduced the car. Logano won at Richmond in 2017, but the win was encumbered. Oh, you remember the cucumbered wins? Good old cucumbered wins. Glad they take them away now. So, baby, do you have who do you have penciled in for the Final Four this point in the season? The mini Larsons. I think the mini Larsons are going to take the Final Four this year. Larson won BattleBots 10 times in a row. Pacers versus Knicks. Pacers versus Knicks. That's going to be a good one. I don't know. I don't know how to call that one. The transponder. I no longer care because the Magic have been eliminated. That's going to be my excuse. But I'll take the Knicks. Then I will catch you guys tomorrow when I drop the episode. And then Tuesday, we got another live stream. So I will see you then. Until then, have a good night. Peace.